Hey, welcome to today's Antidote. Today, we are continuing our discussion on handling objections. That's right, handling objections. And today's objection is one of my favorites. They're all my favorites, honestly. And that is, oh, that's the cost? Or, oh, it costs that much? I didn't realize that. We're going to talk about what that means and how that affects your ability to sell, and also probably you as a buyer, because I've said that to people before myself. All that and more on episode 818 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today, Bob?
I'm good. We are recording this, so it's not that Tom and I wear the same clothes 3 days in a row. We're recording this. We had some logistical things. So if you do comment, feel free to comment. We will respond to every comment, but they will not appear on screen. But that's okay. They're still valuable.
Yes, they are. Excellent. And if you're listening to the podcast, one, you don't know that we're wearing the same clothes that we have been. Two, I don't know that it really matters that it's recorded. And three, please feel free. I know there's no place to comment, so join us in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, and you can comment there. So, are you ready, Bob? Kick this all off?
I am. I'm trying to figure out my lighting.
I thought you had it all figured out. Yes,
I thought so too, but we're later in the day, so the sun is doing different things.
Yes. Results, how they can change.
That's it.
All right. So this morning we're going to have a conversation around handling objections, as we've been doing all week. And as we go through this conversation, we will discuss a little bit more about, that's the cost. The fun objection of money always becomes a part of the conversation. Not always, but typically becomes a part of the conversation. And we welcome your thoughts and ideas, Bob said. And at the end of that discussion, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out what to do next, what your next step is when you're stuck, frustrated, uncertain, or maybe just a little uncomfortable about how to reply to the objection around money. So all that and more coming up shortly. Before we kick into that conversation, though, each morning Bob and I share our celebration. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm celebrating the fact that I had a really good discussion with someone, and that person understood the value I bring to people very quickly and actually asked me some thoughtful questions around it, which is not always the case, because sometimes people are like, really? You get paid to do that? Why? Which gets at that's the cost argument too. Like, really? People pay you for that? So it's nice when someone says, I see your value.
Fair enough. I would agree.
How about you? Not do you see my value or do you have value, but what is your celebration?
I'm glad that you clarified that.
I did.
My celebration today is that I was talking with a client the other day that they are transitioning to a new location that has been a challenge. And so I've been kind of helping them along that pathway, and that they are closer and closer. They have a good portion of their stuff in the new location and are figuring out how to finally get the rest of it done so that they can move forward and be settled. They've been a little.
This has been going on for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been going on since the fall. I mean, it's
okay. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
So they did find a place.
They did find a place that they're excited about. There's some real possibilities there that make sense. And and at the same time, it's a small organization. So trying to figure it all out, there are some challenges, as there are with every opportunity. So that's my celebration, that they're making good progress.
Nice.
Yes.
So, hey, let's get into it.
Okay.
So often people will say, that's the cost, as if they're surprised. And it's really interesting to me because I was just reading the other day for the 1,000th time in the last 3 months, it seems, that people can research more about things than ever before because of this thing called the internet. And it strikes me that people do all this research and they don't research cost. That's rather striking to me. Like, so I'm going to look at everything I can find out about this thing. I'm going to look at this car. I'm going to look at everything about it. But when it comes to the price, I'm not going to look at that because that's not really important yet. That's really when I get with this salesperson. That's not how it works in the real world. So I think this whole idea of, oh, that's the cost. The person knows the cost. They should have a sense of it going into it. I just bought some windows from a window company. I kind of knew what the cost was. I'd done my homework. I talked to 2 people that used the company. I'd seen other alternatives. I knew what the value was. So when the person told me the cost, I was like, oh, okay. Tell me how you got there. And I could have an informed discussion about it. And I said, well, why wouldn't I just go to one of the big box stores and buy my own and install my own? And he explained to me the differences. I had enough knowledge that he reinforced what I had already studied up on. So I think this whole idea of, so that's the cost, is just one more way to say, I'm really scared. I don't want to make a bad decision. I've got to talk to someone else. It's just one more way to delay what probably is something that could benefit a person. What do you say to that, Tom?
It's interesting. I think that's a fascinating point around, do we really know what the cost is and why are we surprised when it is what it is? And I don't know if people just think that they can get whatever they want for free because they can gather information on the internet, or that we haven't truly shared the value of what it is and got them to consider that solving whatever challenge they have or easing whatever pain they have is worth sometimes whatever it's going to cost to get to that point. And I think the challenge sometimes is we don't see the value in it in the moment, or we haven't helped them see the value of it in the moment. And they can't then imagine why they would pay whatever it would be to get the results that they need to get. And I think it's that shock and surprise that really makes me wonder if they're truly interested, or they are like what we were talking about 2 days ago, and they are just browsing, just looking around.
Or they want a deal because everyone wants a deal, right? Oh, yes. So that's the cost for everyone else. I want the cost. I want to feel good about this so I can tell the people around me, hey, you know what? It's normally $10,000, but I cut a deal with Tom. It's only $8,500. Oh, yay.
Well, I think, it's interesting. I think that's the way the car industry used to be. And I think they finally figured out that we were wasting a ton of time haggling rather than this is the cost. And right. Yeah, maybe we can do something with financing, or maybe you've got to trade in, or maybe there's some other things that could change what it looks like. Just here's the cost. And I think in some regards, that's the clarity that can be found. We had this conversation, I don't know, maybe now it's been a week or so ago, where the guy who worked in the industry, in the factory for 30 years, being paid whatever his wage was, leaves, the machine breaks down, no one else knows how to fix it, nobody can get to it for 3 weeks, and they call him up and he's like, yeah, I can come in and take a look at it. He's there for 5 minutes, fixes the issue. And when they tell him to just send an invoice, he sends it for $10,000. They're like, well, why was that $10,000? Like, well, because 1, I was able to get you to back up and running. 2, no one else could do it. And 3, it was, even though it only took 5 minutes, it took me 25 years to learn that piece of equipment. And that there's some value in my knowledge, experience, and perspective that I was able to bring. And in some regards, if they thought about it, what they would save by not having that piece of equipment down for 3 weeks or lost potential revenue, it's probably a drop in the bucket for what he is charging them.
Well, and there's another side to this, which is, wait, you're going to charge me for that? Now, I've had this several times where someone's like, well, if you know the solution to what would help my business, why wouldn't you just tell me? It's like, well, I think I have a solution for you, but I've kind of built that over a number of years. And just telling you, yeah, I'll tell you, but it's how you implement it. And I've worked on that, and I've got a system and a process, and there's value in that. But they think of it as just, I made it up in my head just 5 minutes ago, as opposed to all my life experience, all the time investing to get to that place. And I think especially when we're selling services, not products.
Sure.
So the windows, I could look at the windows and say, okay, the windows I have are pretty much letting air through them. I can't open 4 of the 9 windows. That's a problem. So the new windows will open. They'll be double pane so that they'll be more heat efficient, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay. But when you talk about, say, coaching services, well, they got a process, but you can't really poke it and say, hey, oh, wow, this is really solid. Oh, wow, Bob's really solid. He's going to last 10 years. That hurt, by the way. You can't do that. Really, and I think that's one of the challenges with services. Products, I can buy a gallon of gas down the street and it's $3.69 a gallon, or I can go 2 miles down the road and it's $3.64 a gallon. Very simple transaction. If I have a plumber come in, I know what plumbing rates are. I paid a weekend rate. It was $200 an hour. It's a lot of money. But it was also, the plumber was there on a Saturday.
And it was a lot
I asked
less
the guy, I'm
money
like, what would you be doing if you weren't working? He's like, well, my son's got a baseball game. Okay, you know what? It's probably worth $200 because this guy doesn't get to be with his family. When we talk about what we do, coaching, I think it becomes more complicated. I think when we talk about financial planning, it becomes more complicated. Lawyers struggle with this. Well, how can you charge me that fee? I'm going through a difficult situation. It just gets complicated. And I think that is the cost. There's another way to look at this. Oh, that is the cost, period, end of sentence. Take it or leave it.
Well, I think one of the things is that if you're just talking about cost, I think it's easy to get in those arguments. And I think that's one of the challenges that people have on the service side of the world is they talk about cost. And
no, I think the consumer, because of so many things being cost basis, right? We've really commoditized everything.
Yes, except that a lot of times the service that we provide or someone provides is more than just the cost of it. It's what else could happen. With your plumber, yeah, it costs you $200 an hour for him to come in and do it. If he wasn't available and he said, well, I can do it, it's $50 an hour, but I can't get there till Wednesday.
No hot showers for me because I had no hot water.
No hot showers. What happens if a pipe bursts? What happens if, what are all the other pain points that make it worth you to be like, well, I got a big presentation on Monday and I've got to go meet in front of a bunch of people and I can't not have a hot shower. And if a pipe bursts and I'm stuck and I got to deal with that and I can't go make revenue doing something else. I think it's those things that create the urgency, and then the urgency then creates the value. And I think so often we go with price before we have helped them see the value. Mm-hmm. It's the same with a good, right? Because you can go to Walmart and buy one product for X. You go to another store, maybe it's a local family-owned store, and it might be 2 times that price. Maybe the same product, maybe a different product, and yet there are things that go into it, and you can choose, okay, maybe I'm willing to pay less but do I really understand what's going into it? I might get Walmart's product, which is whatever, with no service, no follow-up, no support if I need help with it. Or, and not that I'm knocking Walmart, it just seems like their prices are lower because of the quantity they have. Or do you go with someone who's paying more of an interest because they want to maintain the relationship? They're not just transactional.
Right.
And they're going to provide you with other things. And I think what the challenge for some people is they think that price is the end all be all. And sometimes for some people it is. And for others, they think they want price, or they realize they don't want price because they know that there's a hidden cost to just having the lowest price. That somewhere down the road, I might need something else that's going to cost me extra, and likely is going to be more pain than if I had just gone in and gotten it done all at once. I think that's why the medical field can charge what they charge. Is if you don't get it taken care of, there are a lot of other consequences that could be more significant and more pricey down the road. So the ability to get it taken care of well, and not have to worry about some of those other things is we're willing to pay whatever it takes to make it work. And I think that's the piece, is that to get people to see, how do I go from being in pain or looking for some sort of pleasure that I don't have, and what is it going to cost me to do that? And it's not about the cost, it's about the value that we see in that transformation from pain to being back in a state of feeling okay.
Right. And in that example, it could be life and death, which changes the whole equation.
It could be. And when those come up, we find whatever it takes to pay for it. Right? We're going to do whatever we need to do. If I have to sell my house, I'll do whatever I need to do. We oftentimes in the service industry haven't shown people how, not that it's life or death, but think of the difference of you having this problem solved and getting to this point, or you delaying it and putting it off and being worried about the cost rather than thinking about the results that are going to come at the end and how those results will have a significant impact on your opportunity to move forward. The guy in the industry, he got him thinking about, well, yeah, I don't have to come. You can wait and pay the service person their $100 an hour in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. What are you missing out on in that time frame? And when they stop and think about it, they're like, okay, well, geez, we might have to lay people off. We don't have work for them to do. We're not putting our product out there. When you stop to think about it, it might be well worth whatever it costs to get that person to come in so that you can keep moving forward and not stay stuck.
I like it.
Do you have your one thing?
I think I do. I think it goes back to what you said, which is if someone's really talking about the cost, then they're not fully understanding the value. And as our interest in cost, or as our interest in value goes up, our concern over cost goes down.
Yes. Or if our pain increases, or potentially is going to increase, we find a way to pay for whatever it is we need.
I think I found a topic for my Facebook Live this week.
Oh, interesting.
I'm stealing that one. I'm going with that one.
Fair enough.
Look in the Ring Renegades Facebook group today or tomorrow, and you'll see that in there.
I like it.
All right. How about you?
I think my one thing around cost is, I think that I think on the other side of it, I'm going to take the service provider side of it, is that we undervalue our own work. And then the cost, then we aren't charging we're charging about what we think it costs us, and not thinking about the value it provides someone else and what that transformation for them would be like if they are no longer stuck, frustrated, overwhelmed, uncertain. And so too often we devalue the impact it has on someone else, or we only think about, well, it's going to take me this much time, so I'll charge this much per hour, and we forget about how much of an impact it has on the people who we serve, and how they are sometimes willing to do whatever it takes. Not that we price gouge them, but they will do whatever it takes to gain the value that we have so that they can be impacted in a way that will help them figure out how to move forward.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. All right, everyone. If you have thoughts or ideas that you want to share, we apologize that we're recording it, not that only in that we can't respond to any comments that people have. We will go back in and afterwards and comment on them in the chat. If you happen to be listening to our podcast, we know there's no place to comment, so that's not as much of an issue for you. And if you would like to comment, we welcome you to join us in our Ringer Renegades Facebook group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas there. We look forward to seeing you there. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It is so worth it on this beautiful day.
Yes, it is. All right, everyone. Enjoy the day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.